Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to learn a little bit more about the Norton Middle School roof project. I am hoping that this information session tonight will answer all of your questions about the upcoming project, the importance of it, how we got here, and what the costs will be to the Norton community for this project. If at any time you have a question, please use the question and answer button down at the bottom of your excuse me. And Mrs. Winsper will be monitoring those and will be able to read those to me, and I will be respond to them as they come up. Um, so please feel free to ask any questions. Um, a lot of questions around why does Norton Middle School need a new roof? For any of us who have been in Norton for a little while, Norton Middle School, the roof there has been an ongoing issue for many, many years. It actually goes all the way back to when Norton Middle School was actually built in 1998. The stores were open to students for the very first time in September of 1998. And even at that time, we already had issues of water leakage throughout the building, especially during heavy rainstorms. So from the moment that students came in and it was an actual school, we had significant issues. The beautiful rotunda in the front area of the middle school, the administrative offices, there have constantly been issues. So 1998, it is now 2026. We are at nearly 3 decades of repairs for Norton Middle School. There have been investigations in the past as to why the issues are continuing to happen over and over again. They have done repairs on different aspects of the roof, including the actual flashing. They've done waterproofing work. And yet, even now, we are still having significant issues when it comes to leaks. With the building being built in 1998, our warranty has long since passed on this. And when we were going through, and when I say we, I mean the town itself, I was unfortunately not in this role in 1998. However, there were only specific parts of the roof that were covered with each of the warranties. And some of the warranties, of course, lasted longer than others. And what also happened is that the metal roof in the front was altered because there was concerns about snow melting and crashing to the ground. And so they drilled into the roof there and installed snow spikes. But unfortunately, that modification to the metal roofing areas voided the warranty on that metal aspect of roof. Ultimately, the roof, after nearly 30 years, is really at the end of life. In that, patching as we have been, or making things work using band-aid situations from year to year is really not a feasible option at this point. The amount of replacement and work that needs to be done to the middle school roof, it really the most cost-effective way is to actually do a full replacement of the middle school roof. And so ultimately, what we're hoping to do, and through your support, of course, is to replace the roof now and ensure that the students that are here at Norton Middle School, and all of our students to come have a safe, warm learning environment for years to come. And then I also think it's really important that you guys know all of the pictures here tonight are our current middle school students. Some of them may be freshmen at the high school because some are from last year, but these are our Norton Middle School students learning and engaging in their classes there. And so this is really who we're doing this work for. There are so many reasons that this project is important. And we'll talk about the infrastructure of the school. We'll talk about the school envelope. But for me, my primary job as the superintendent here is really to be a steward for our students and to make sure that we're advocating for them all the time. I know this is a lot of text for a slide, and I'm certainly not going to read it to all of you, but I'm going to just touch upon a couple key points here. Number one is we want to make sure that we're protecting the learning environment for our students. Making sure that they have, a reliable roof really prevents water damage. It also can be extremely interruptive to learning. So when we have a leak, oftentimes we will need to get, whether it's our own custodians or a roofing contractor in, students may need to move classrooms from time to time. The water damage can ruin materials that we have, whether it's classroom materials, instructional materials, technology. You are always running the risk of something being damaged when you have a school that is not watertight. We want to make sure that we're maintaining healthy learning spaces for students. The constant building maintenance, we do an incredible job taking care of our schools. I have to give a lot of credit to Mr. Wade Lazat, who is our director of facilities, and his incredible custodial team. They do a lot of work to make sure that our schools are clean and safe on a daily basis. But they're not roofing contractors, and they are, able to do the best they can with the resources that they have. But oftentimes we have to bring out actual roofers or other construction experts to make sure that a hole is repaired or patched, and that way students can get back to learning in a really safe and conducive environment. One of the questions that I often get asked about is air quality. And I think it's really important that while this is a really big project for Norton Middle School or in Norton itself, the school building does remain safe. It is extremely safe for our students. As I mentioned earlier, our custodians do an incredible job making sure the buildings are safe and clean. And we do consistent air quality tests as well, at least annually, to ensure that different areas of the school, especially where we do see some leaks, are clear of mold and other toxins. For example, this past fall, we did an air quality test in several areas of our middle school. And the only area that came back with a little bit of concern was a probably about a 4 foot wide vestibule inside between two solid doors where students enter the building. And so what happened is we closed off that entrance for a couple days, and we had a contractor come out. They remediated the entire area. They were able to put up, take down the ceiling, put up a temporary ceiling there, and ensure that the air quality tests, number one, that it was remediated and then it came back clean again. So that is something that we are constantly looking at. So I want to make sure that people understand that the school building itself is safe, and we're very confident that our students are doing well while they're there. And again, really, this is about investing for the future. So as I mentioned, these are our current Norton Middle School students, but for the children that are in our elementary schools now, and for those to come over the next 20 to 30 years, we want to make sure that Norton Middle School remains a place that is just a great learning environment for all students. I wanted to share some pictures with all of you about the current status and share some photos. And I believe my pointer will be able to show you a little bit more explicitly here, which is great. So as you can see this blue dot on the top left photo, this is inside one of our classrooms. And so as you can see, this fall there was a large hole at the top of the ceiling where we had a massive leak. This classroom happens to be on the third floor, and so therefore it was coming directly from the roof in through this classroom. And you can see that we had a large barrel that was there to catch the water. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is extremely distracting to students that are trying to learn. And it's not an ideal situation for any of our learners. This issue here has been remediated. The hole was patched in this classroom, knock on wood, has been, in great shape this winter, especially with all the snow and ice that we've had. So that's, encouraging. But these are some of the things that we're seeing here. In the second picture on the top row, this is one of our windowsills outside of our bus entrance. This area is one of our primary issues when it comes to water getting trapped in between the walls and flowing down into the school itself. Probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, one of the investigations that was done found that the water barrier and the flashing that was installed on the roof was not installed properly. And so therefore, there is a gap between where the waterproofing is and where it should be. And there is constantly water that's getting in the back there, which is definitely a significant issue. As you can see on the bottom left here, This is a ceiling. As you can see, it looks like that was probably at one point tape for to put together the sheetrock there, and that is crumbling. This is another angle of the bus entrance. You can see the long water stain down the window there, and the drywall cracking and peeling here. You can see a large stain on the roof, on the ceiling of the bus entrance as well. That has been since taken care of since that picture was taken. And then this is our rotunda. This is the round building that you see from the road. Right, it's really the focal point of Norton Middle School. And you can see here there's a lot of rust and paint peeling. The metal roofs themselves have had significant issues with leaking over the years. So when you come into our middle school and you look up, that's one of the things that you see is all of that cracking and peeling there. These are some exterior shots. This first photo up top is a picture of that flashing. As you can see, it is very worn away here, and you can actually see where the brick, excuse me, is wearing away and really is in desperate need of some repointing as well as some cracks here. This is the outside of the rotunda. You can see the staining. This area here has had leaks since day one. It will get behind the brick and go right into the rotunda area. Second row, this is an example of the metal roofing that exists and the wear and tear that has taken place there over the nearly 30 years. Right here where you see that orange circle, of course, my little guy keeps moving around here. That is actually a screw that is poking through the rubber roof that is there. It has become so thin, and every time you walk on it, you're kind of compromising the roof as it is. So we've had so many people up over there over the years trying to work and replace this roof that this is what happens. Those little screws just pop right through. Now, this next picture, while it shows you one of our ventilation units or HVAC systems, one of the things I thought that was interesting is that you can actually see a lot of patches on the bottom where the actual roof is. You see probably 8 to 10 small squares where the roof has been patched over time. And that's a lot of consistent areas that need remediation. And then finally, I'm showing some examples of the brick repointing in the front of the building. And that's simply from the metal roof and the issues that we've had there in terms of water seeping through the walls and down the brick. So all of those things really do need to be addressed. Mrs. Winsper, are there any questions so far that I could address before we move on to the funding components?
We actually have no questions at this time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So Norton Public Schools has been very fortunate to be accepted to the MSBA Accelerated Repair Project. The MSBA is also known as the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and they are not quite a government entity, but they work alongside the state government to support public buildings, specifically school construction and improvement projects. They support safe, sustainable, and fiscally responsible projects while making sure that communities do not have the entire burden of these very financially significant projects all on their own. The MSBA, whether it's new building projects or accelerated repair projects, which focus specifically on doors and windows, as well as roofs, have contributed almost $18 billion to the state of Massachusetts in these projects. Because we are now more than 25 years old, Norton is finally eligible to have the Norton Middle School roof replaced through the MSBA Accelerated Repair Project. So this required an application. They had to review our application. They came out, they looked at the roof. They had to really determine whether or not the needs for repair were significant enough to warrant their involvement. And they were. And so because we have been approved through the MSBA Accelerated Repair Project, Norton as a community is eligible for 55.63% reimbursement, which will significantly lower the cost to the community. So for every dollar we spend here in Norton, fixing and repairing the Norton Middle School roof, the MSBA will give us 55 cents on every single dollar, which is an incredible reimbursement rate. That reimbursement rate varies from year to year, so you never know what it's going to be when you sit down with the MSBA to get your project approved. So we are extremely grateful to the MSBA, number one, for approving Norton Middle School into this project, and also for their extremely generous reimbursement rate. And that reimbursement rate is consistent across all projects that are in the accelerated repair program this year. So now the big question is, what is this going to cost? So I think it's really important, number one, to share that this is a very initial scope. We looked at different options. We looked at like restoring areas that were really bad, and then leaving the rest of the roof as it was. And then we also looked at full replacement. So this option is full replacement. Norton Middle School will get an entirely new roof, both the rubber roofing sections as well as the metal roof sections. It will be 100% redone and repaired, reinstalled for our students. They will go all the way down to the deck of the roof, which means they will be peeling off all of the rubber, all of the insulation, all of the ice and water barrier, and then really looking at, are there other areas that maybe need to replace down at the deck level? As we know, construction projects can get a little unwieldy for those of us who have ever done home repairs. So this also really includes contingency funds. So if you pull back the roof and you come across something that is a little bit more challenging than they had originally anticipated, there is almost $500,000 in contingency funds for us to ensure that we're able to repair whatever needs to be done the right way without going back to the school community, to the greater community, and asking for additional funds. Also, with the support of the Permanent Building Committee here in Norton, this total also looks at some of the other items that need to be done that may not necessarily be eligible for reimbursement. So for example, I showed you pictures of the rotunda. This also goes in and includes things like painting the inside of the rotunda once the new roofing has been installed to make sure that you no longer see the rust and the peeling that has been there previously. It allows additional funds for any wall replacement or painting that needs to be done once the building is watertight. And it also potentially looks at some windows that need to be replaced. As I showed you in some of the photographs, there's a lot of brick repointing that needs to be done around the windows. And this will allow us to replace the windows in the rotunda area as well as in that front bus entrance to make sure that those are watertight, as well as doing a little bit of brick repointing. I think the other component for me to share with you when we look at these numbers is that there are things that we are required to put into the MSBA quote or project that we won't necessarily need. So you have to budget for asbestos remediation. However, Norton Middle School was built in 1998. We know that there is no asbestos in the building. So we know that while that will be a line item in the overall project, it is not something that we will need to spend because there is no asbestos in the building. Additionally, the MSBA requires schools to ensure that part of their roof is solar ready. We have solar canopies here in Norton. We have no intention of putting solar panels on our roof. And for those of you who may not know, they are actually already are solar panels on the gym roof. So that area of the roof is already considered solar ready. So we really don't have any additional expenditures there. Finally, there is one last big contingency that will really go in front of the Permanent Building Committee for final resolution. Currently, our roof has areas of rubber and areas of metal. The metal roof is in this original quote. However, we also asked them to prepare an estimate for what it would be to replace that metal roof with an asphalt shingle. And it's about $1 million difference. So the permanent building committee will have to take that into consideration when we are finally working towards this project, and getting all of those issues ironed out so we could potentially save funds there. So the total project budget here is $11.4 million. And we would get back a maximum of $5.6 million from the MSBA. So right now, what we're already looking at, a 55% savings there. What I'm going to show you is some of the other math that I've worked on really closely with our owner's project manager and our architect for this project. So as I mentioned, the schematic design cost with our contingencies is $11,443,631. And based on the experience of our architects and our owner's project manager, they typically see projects come in when you finally go out to bid at about 70 to 75% of design cost, which would take the total number back down to $8,010,542. And if we were to get a reimbursement rate of 55.63% from the MSBA, the cost to Norton and its taxpayers would be $4,456,264. And that would be for the entire project. So I think it's also important that we know, as I mentioned, the roof with the asphalt shingles versus metal shingles and some of the other contingencies that are in there. We won't have that final number until we are able to go out to bid, which will probably be next fall, or actually it would be this fall of 2026. But I think that's really important to show that that $11.4 million number looks really big, but really the taxpayers would be really looking at something more along the lines of 4.4. How will we pay for this project here in Norton? There's a couple different things, and I think it's really important for whoever is joining us at home or for people that may be watching this recording later that the school department is working and advocating for the project, but we have a lot of help and support outside the school community as well. So I'm very grateful for the Norton Select Board, the Norton School Committee, as well as the Norton Permanent Building Committee. Each of those boards have stated their support for this project at their own public meetings through doing a public vote. And so each of these three boards has supported this project, which is absolutely wonderful. We're extremely grateful for their support. And so what has been suggested based on the recommendation from the town manager to the Norton Select Board, the Norton Select Board has voted to ask the Norton taxpayers for a debt exclusion to support this project. What that means is that registered voters here in Norton will be able to share their voice on two separate occasions. The first would be the annual election ballot, which is on Saturday, April 11th. And the second vote would be at the annual town meeting, which is on Monday, May 18th. And for those of you who may not be as well versed in what is the difference between a debt exclusion and an override, a debt exclusion allows a community to temporarily raise their property taxes to pay for a specific capital project. For example, a school roof. And that the increase in that tax revenue only lasts for the lifetime of the debt. So what would happen is that if this project was approved by the taxpayers here in Norton, we would work very closely with the town manager and the town accountant to go out and ensure that we have the funds needed for the project itself. And at that time, they would decide the length of the bond, similar to the length of a mortgage. It might be a 15-year bond, it might be a 20-year bond. It really depends on the amount and the rates. And so what would happen is once that debt was paid off, the taxpayers would see that amount fall off of their taxes over time. I also have heard from a lot of people, so what happens if it doesn't get approved? So ultimately, if we are not approved to move forward with this MSBA project, we would not replace the Norton Middle School roof at this time. Unfortunately, the costs are not within the general budget, either for the school or for the town itself. And so we would have to postpone this moving forward, which means that if we are not committing to the MSBA, we would need to withdraw our name and our project from the accelerated repair program for this time. And what we would need to do is we would need to go back to the MSBA when we were ready, or we thought we were more ready to move this project forward. And we would need them to accept us into the accelerated repair program again. As I mentioned, our reimbursement rate this year is 55.63%. That reimbursement changes yearly. So we would not be guaranteed that same reimbursement rate if we were not able to approve this project at this time. So a few important dates for you all to remember. As I mentioned, Saturday, April 11th is the annual town election, and Monday, May 18th is the annual town meeting. I think it's very important for people to understand that in order for the project to be approved, both votes must pass. It is not either or, it has to be both. So the taxpayers would need to approve at both venues here. And while this is not a Norton Middle School student, as I'm sure you guys are all well aware, it is one of our future Norton Middle School students. And I really love this picture because number one, she's adorable. And number two, this gives you a really great view of the back of Norton Middle School. And I think one of the items for me to share with all of you is one of the biggest challenges that we currently have with Norton Middle School, and will be a challenge when we go through this replacement process, is the number of different levels of roof that we have. As you can see, there are many little nooks and crannies out here that look like they're all different heights, and they are. So when we looked initially at this particular project, there are 22 different roofing sections, and that absolutely impacts the cost of roof replacement for Norton Middle School because they aren't able to just lay it out in one, one long sheet or in one fell swoop. They have to go and do this 22 different times, plus the metal roofing that is there as well. So I think this is a really great picture so you can see exactly what we're dealing with here. And at that time, I would welcome questions from the audience if anyone has any.
We don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Well, if anyone has questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll give you a little bit of wait time. And then I will be posting this overview along with my slides on our district webpage and also sharing it out through our social media platforms as well. I was gonna say, it looks like we have a raised hand. Alexis, would you be willing to put your question in the chat? I don't know how I can.
We can allow
Oh, that would
Alexia
be great. That's
to
fine,
talk
Mrs. Winsper.
if okay.
Hi there. How are you?
Hi, sorry about that. I was trying to figure out how to use the chat, and that's why I raised my hand because it
No
said
worries at all. How can we help?
disabled. If we are unable to attend either of the meetings on April 11th or the I forget what the one for Monday was, is there a absentee vote?
So there should be an absentee ballot for the annual election on April 11th. I would recommend reaching out to the town clerk and getting all of the information from that office in order to ensure, only because I don't oversee that, so I don't want to give you the incorrect information, Alexia. Um, and unfortunately, there is no absentee ballot when it comes to the annual election. You must be present to vote.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. Well, if you don't have any other questions, I wish you all a wonderful night. Please know that you can always reach out to me.
There is a question in the
Oh,
Q&A.
great. Good. Thank you, Mrs. Winsper.
Someone is saying they are very supportive of this vote. Just curious, do we know how much how much we have spent on roof repairs the last 28 years, like a ballpark figure?
That is a great question, and I will be honest, I don't know. Unfortunately, as I'm sure anyone can imagine, the records going back all the 28 years are not fantastic. But I probably could share with you, probably over the last 10 years since Mr. Lazat has been our director of facilities, that number. I know that earlier this year, the Permanent Building Committee gave us about $25,000 to make repairs and kind of get us through the winter season here, especially because this project will not happen until the summer of 2027. So we're very, very grateful to them. But that is a great question, and I will absolutely get that information out as part of this presentation as well.
There are no other questions.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time and your support. You can always reach me here in our office or via email. I hope you have a great night. Thank you.